Good afternoon. I know I'm coming a little bit earlier than normal, but I'm a double dip today. I'm a double dip today. Today's a big day. Today's a big day. They got a semi-final playoff game tonight. I don't know if y'all know that. Of course we do because Ole Miss fans won't let LSU LSU fans live it down that our coach built a team and a program that went 11-1, made it to the playoffs, and are now one game away from actually playing for something that they haven't done in over 60 years. So, yes, there is an actual game tonight, kickoff at 6:30 p.m. The unfortunate thing for me is that I'm going to be stuck in traffic for a little while. I got to go pick up my baby girl from practice. So I might catch the late start of that game. But I wanted to come on here beforehand just to say thank you yet again. Um, the support that's been taking place on Twitter has been nothing short of amazing, nothing short of phenomenal. I absolutely love everything that's going on. I see you, Joker. Thank you for the support, man. Thank you for tuning in live, jumping in the chat. But I just want to say, man, like I've been overwhelmed by the engagement, the community that we are coalescing together right now, rallying behind one another because all we gonna have in this football season, especially in 2026, is going to be us. Every step that we take is going to be judged. Everything that we do, and I say we being LSU fans, everything LSU does is going to be judged. It's going to be under a microscope. Win, lose, or draw, they're going to highlight it and try to turn it as a negative. I mean, the narrative is going to be out there, but when LSU begins to win, then everybody's going to jump on the bandwagon and then they're going to start heaping praises all over the place. But right now, it's going to be a little dark. They're going to look sideways. They're going to side eye everything that LSU does, especially Lane Kiffin, because of how he left and the reasons why he left. And I think it's very important, especially right now, for us to fully understand and take hold to the reason as to why Lane Kiffin ultimately chose LSU over Ole Miss in Florida. And if you saw the report that Ross Dillinger leaked out yesterday, the deal that was offered to Brendan Sorsby, it shows the structure that LSU has in place for them to pay over the rev share. And the misunderstanding across the nation from Ole Miss fans, Texas Tech fans, to now Washington fans that don't fully understand and grasp the fact that LSU can and will pay for a quarterback because they have the money to do so. And it's not just the revenue share that's a part of it. They are able to make true third party NIL deals come together and those deals can get cleared from the clearinghouse. It's something that they've been set up for. Not only that, the way that LSU spent money last year set them up for more success because they're just starting to use the revenue apparently from last year's team and not even going into this year's revenue sharing budget. So they're strapped with cash. They have money to do the things that they want to do. And it's going to be necessary considering the fact that they're in hot pursuit of Demond Williams. And just to touch on this topic very quickly, because like I said, I'm not going to be on here too long. The New Orleans traffic is one that is undefeated. But Demond Williams and his agent separated. His agent ended his representing him, which is not shocking. You got one out of one of your many clients that decided to go a different way. Demond Williams and his coach shared the same agent. And if you think about it, and I'm going to give Matt his credit for this because I heard him say this not too long ago. These agents are going to try to put their coaches in places at these schools so that way they can funnel players into the agency. It's all a hustle. So if you have a player that, and I think Jeff Landry got this right when he said this, coaches and players being represented by the same agency is something that needs to be addressed. And I think that helps filter the money out of the system the way that it's being played, because it's just money moving hands right now, and the agents are the ones that are really, you know, running the game from behind the scenes. If you have an agent that's representing a school and that school is in need of a coach, that agent is going to do their best to keep their clients in play at that school, because the school is their client, the roster is their client. So if Jet Fish, who has a contract worth $54 million, is represented by this one agent, and that quarterback, who's represented by the same agent, decides, now I'm going to bolt for another school, logical sense says I'm going to stick with the coach who has another roster of 105 players for me to be able to get fees off of. So he did the business savvy thing in separating himself from Damon Williams. The whole situation to me is fishy though, because if y'all are sharing the same agent, you don't think Jed Fish was aware that his player wanted to leave? Like there's something I'm just assuming though. This is just me thinking. I'm just assuming. This is literally just my thoughts. That's it. It's just my thoughts. And I'm glad that LSU is in the position to make the plays that it's making right now. And like you said, Joker, this isn't the old LSU. This isn't Brian Kelly's LSU. This isn't Les Miles' LSU. We are coming in. We are definitely coming strong, brother. This is not a game. And I'm glad that we have Lane Kiffin as a coach, because he's the man that's built for it. He doesn't care what the outside noise says. If it looks bad on the surface, but he's still getting the guy that he wants so he can put himself in position to win, then he's going full in. He doesn't care about what anybody else thinks. So on the front side of it, if LSU has to pay attorney fees, has to pay a buyout to Washington, and still has to pay the quarterback to get to that they need to get to where they want to be, they're going to do it. It's an investment. If I spend 15 million to make another 40 million, was that a bad 15 million? No, it's not. It's not. So of course they're going to double down on that. And Damon now, and I know a lot of people are trying to put pieces together and string things along. Damon went out and hired the attorney who's representing Xavier Lucas, Darren Heitnet. Let me see how to pronounce it real quick. Darren Heitner. That's it. Heitner. Darren Heitner, he is the one who took on Xavier Lucas and helped him get from Wisconsin to Miami. And in the process of doing so, was able to keep Xavier in a position to where he was still eligible to play. Now that case with Wisconsin is still pending, but the narratives are being formed that, oh, it wasn't a rev share contract. Well, yeah, it was. All you got to do is just Google. Google does work. And if you don't want to Google, use ChatGPT. AI is just a better version of Google, and it will pull the information for you. But they had a rev share component to it. Now, was it to the same level of a Damon Williams? No. Damon Williams is a quarterback. He's going to draw a bunch of interest. That's gonna turn some heads. But what we can't do as a fan base though is panic, because Darren Heitner does teach NIL law at the University of Miami. He's from Tampa, Florida. So it may seem as though Damon is doing everything possible he can to get to Miami. But there's another bit of information that we have to pay attention to, is that Miami is also hosting Sam Levitt this weekend. So you can't let that slip under the cracks. remember, LSU was done with Sam Levitt. Like he was going to be the guy. And fully I'm fully in the belief of Sam Levitt, had Demond Williams not broke this news, when he did, Sam Levitt would have committed to LSU yesterday. But because of how things played out, they completely pivoted. And I can understand why Lane Kiffin would do that. Lane Kiffin wanted Demond Williams before he wanted Trinidad Chambliss. And we can't forget that point. And it's a legitimate fact. I mean, he was committed to Ole Miss in 2024 in the 2024 class before signing day. He was committed to Ole Miss and then flipped his commitment to Arizona. And then once Washington lost the national championship, hired Jedd Fisch after Kalen DeBoer left 3 days after the national championship, but nobody talks about that. Left Washington to go to Alabama. Jedd Fisch had to get Demond Williams to go into the portal. So this isn't his first time in the portal. Demond Williams knows how the portal system works because he's been through it. And while he was in the portal, Lane and Charlie jumped on him again. So let's not, like panic and make assumptions. Let's just let this play out. Let it play out. And I feel confident with where things are right now. I truly do. Because Lane is cooking. That staff is cooking. The defensive front right now is smoking. So let them work. And I know I talked about it in the show the other night, and I know the clips are circulating right now on Twitter and on YouTube Shorts. Everything was quiet in the portal until Lane showed up. And he loud right now. So let him be loud. You're still in on a lot of top prospects. We still have to fill out the offensive line class. You still need a running back. And guess what? There's still some very valuable and viable running backs that are playing on prominent teams that could potentially hit the portal once the playoffs are done. This thing is far from over. And just because the portal opened on the 12th and closes on the 16th doesn't mean that commitments have to stop on the 16th. That's just the deadline for players to enter their names. And then if you're a team that's playing in the national championship, which is on the 19th, those teams still have 5 days after that game to commit their names to the portal if they choose to. So it's far from done. We have time. Just before I jumped on here, I saw that we had a commitment from Jaquan Sprinkle, who is a highly sought after offensive lineman in the portal. Shea put out on Twitter that he was a 6'4", 290-pound all conference player from North Carolina Central. He started at right tackle. He's going to have 2 years of eligibility, and he played between guard and tackle, so he can play multiple positions. And we need guys who can really play multiple positions. So he's the first of many offensive linemen. So we are coming. We are absolutely coming. Do not let what's going on around you dismay you. Don't be dissuaded. Don't be frustrated. Don't get down. Just let everything play out. Let it take its time. Let it take its time. And as for the game tonight, like I said, I'm going to jump back on after this game because this game is going to be good. It's going to be one to watch. And I'm not going to lie. Personally, I'm torn because I have a personal connection to Ole Miss through my son and his team. My son played football for Edna Carr. He was there since he was a freshman a couple years ago, and he and Corey Adams became very close. Corey took my son under his wing. And because of that, Corey and I became very close. And when Corey committed to Ole Miss, Corey was, he was a highly touted 3-star defensive lineman. He went on visits to LSU, Ole Miss, several schools across the SEC. Um, and I was hoping he would have committed to LSU, but he committed to Ole Miss. He and Richard committed about on the close to the same days. And I remember sending them both a gift. And on Corey's gift, I remember writing, "So sad and disappointed that you committed to Ole Miss, but I guess I can let them slide since you're going there. And I'll even, be a Rebel fan on the days that y'all are not playing LSU, just for you." And after last year's season, and they won state, Corey and I talked, and he wanted me to bring AJ up to Oxford so we could spend some time with him up there. Once he got settled, I was gonna buy his jersey, put his name on the back, so he can get that NIL revenue from that. Yeah, I was gonna have some Ole Miss gear, and even still, like even with the rivalry, I still didn't have any hatred in my heart. I disliked them just because they were a rival, somewhat. I mean, it was always a little brother rival to Alabama and Florida. But now with all this, it's like these fans can be so obnoxious sometimes. It makes you, like second guess it. And they have some really, really good Ole Miss fans. They really do. But I mean, that's like that in every fan base too. And that's how I keep balancing myself out with this. So I'm going to tell you right now, as far as this game is concerned, I feel my heart wants um Ole Miss to win. My heart says Ole Miss should win. My mind tells me that Miami has every right to win because this game is won and lost in the trenches. And I think that Miami has the better front on both sides of the ball. They're 3-point favorites. Miami is, so it's a pick 'em. If I'm betting, I'm taking Ole Miss in the points, and that's just because it's that close. If Ole Miss can get the running game going, if Ole Miss can get their offense moving at a quick pace, they can potentially tire out Miami's front seven and pull away in the fourth quarter. However, and it's a big however, if they don't get off to a good start and Ruben Bain is holding down that line of scrimmage, Carson Beck and that offense can do enough to beat them. This is a strength on strength, weakness on weakness type of matchup. So, whose weakness will be weaker? That's the question that we got to ask ourselves. And that's the question that's going to get answered in 2 hours. So, I think Miami should win. But for Corey, I want to see Ole Miss win. So, there's 2/3 of this. I think one part of me thinks Miami should win. My heart wants Ole Miss to win for Corey. And the third part of this is that I hope Ole Miss loses so that this fan base can chill the hell out for a little while. Just need the temperature in the room to settle down. Because I'm sick of hearing their fans talking about Pete is the portal king. And I don't see him doing nowhere near what Lane Kiffin is doing. Hell, y'all got to worry about whether or not y'all gonna have a quarterback next year. We know we don't have one right now. We know that. But at this point, with that waiver and how that's looking, the fact that they had to file this stuff again for a third time leads me to believe that they're struggling and they're going to gear up for a lawsuit. And I don't know if that's really going to work out. The NCAA has actually won some cases when it's come to some of these waivers. And it's going to be hard to argue with this one because he played in the NCAA. But that's above my pay grade. So I just wanted to jump on here real quick just to say thank y'all again. You know, we're over 250 followers on Twitter. If I can start getting some of those over to the podcast page, TNT NOLA, TNT_pod NOLA, TNT_pod NOLA. And then come over to the YouTube channel. Join my boy Tiger and come chat it up with us. Hit me up on Twitter. I love being on Twitter. It is hilariously fun. Just having fun all day. The engagement is, like I said, has been amazing. The community that we're building is amazing. And I'm just here to just give my opinions on things. I love football. I love sports. I love everything LSU. So I'm not going to be here just for football season. You're going to hear me talk about Matt McMahon this weekend, especially in how I think that this may be the only timeline that we could imagine that we could potentially be living in where we see Kim Mulkey, Jay Johnson, Lane Kiffin, and Will Wade all in Baton Rouge. Is that I can pray. I can pray. I can pray. So let me keep praying because the way the men's basketball team played against South Carolina the other night, they need the prayer. They need as much prayer as possible. So let's go enjoy this game. I'm about to go get in a bunch of traffic traveling across New Orleans. And I'll see y'all immediately following the game. I'm fire up right after the game is over, probably around like 9 o'clock. So let's get it going. Talk to y'all then. Thank you again, Tiger, for jumping in the chat. Shout out to you, man. Try to get some more people in here to join you next time so we won't just be me and you. Appreciate it, brother.